real quickly, just to tell us, oh, it went away. Just to tell you a little bit about what FLAT is. We're a newly forming organization here in town to really focus on advocating for the development of new trails, including the enhancement and maintenance and use of trails, but also doing some fundraising to make sure some of those trails get built and maintained in a proper way. So we kind of grew out of a community effort to look at how do we get more people out on the trails that exist, but also how do we expand that network and really think about where that could go in terms of a more regional and more robust trail network across Lawrence, Douglas County, and Northeast Kansas. So,
have either of our large audience members, have you guys been on the trails at all? Any of the trails? So which trails do you use?
Lawrence Nature Park.
Frequently.
I have done portions of, I believe it's on the loop that goes kind of around, there was the Inside Out Trail by the hospital that then goes around to Bircham Park and then across the river, and I go over the bridge and onto the levee trails as well.
Right.
Those are the main ones.
Levee trail mainly, and then I have done the bike trail off the levee trails.
Right.
It goes in the woods along the river.
Yeah, that's a great trail.
They're made for experienced bike riders though, because the routes are getting to be more exposed. And so, I found myself crashing several times. It was not good. Because the person that I was with was crashing, and then I was trying to miss them. And, there was a few times we were wondering if he broke something, and luckily he was just bruised or whatever. but they were good trails, you know. I mean, it was, and then it was kind of interesting learning about who maintains them and stuff like that.
So there's a group called Lawrence Mountain Bike Association, I believe, is the bylaw.
There's a plaque there that
Yeah.
talks about it, so that was kind of interesting. And the levee trails are very nice. I like the mile markers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because, you know, you look at how long you go, and like I've told relatives, you know, I went 5 miles, you know, and they, oh, right, you went 5 miles.
I can prove it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, there's mile markers. You know, you got to go there, you got to come back, so then I got to get to the trail from my house. I live in North Lawrence, but it's at least a half mile to it.
Yeah, that all counts.
It all counts when you're walking the whole time. Anyway.
so why else are mile markers important?
So there's been discussion about we've got a map of the loop over here, having mile markers on it's up here. Having mile markers along the loop because Lawrence Fire and Medical has had to find people along the trail, and they're talking about putting mile markers along there. We've also discussed having kids from each neighborhood take a section of the trail and have a little icon, like a little turtle or whatever they decide they want, so that can mark the trail, because it's better possibility that kids will see I'm on the turtle section of the trail, and that at least gives the response people a place to check. So that would all go to dispatch. So, you know, we've got a great system with emergency management stuff in this town. So anyway, we've been talking about that. We thought if it had been a larger group of going into safety stuff and all this other stuff, do we want to continue on with that, or talk about more of the trails around town?
Let's just talk a little bit about the trails that are there.
The one over by the theater is kind of handy. I know one time when I was waiting for a movie, we went out and,
and that's originally had the 0 mile marker on it. I don't think that's going to be ground zero anymore. I think that's going to be moved. That's a great spot there. The other thing about the loop is when you get on it, the moment it starts way up in the northwest section of town, up by a little bit north of the Rock Chalk Park, and then it comes all the way around. You can get all the way up almost to downtown on the loop from anywhere. And there are different sections that you can get into, access it, and then this area has a whole bunch of its own trails. And if you're interested in birds and water animals and things like that, this is a great place to go and just see wildlife, and it's right off of the loop. And then further over there, you can make a connection where that yellow arrow is. You can make a connection to some of the trails out of Clinton Lake at the state park. And there's a nice mound that you can go to across the dam road, and there's the trail is the same, it's the big wide concrete trail, and you can go out to the bottom of the mountain, then you have to get on dirt to get to the top. There's a nice little place to sit, you can look out over the lake, it's really, really a nice place. So there are a lot of fun little things that you can do off of and on the Lawrence Loop.
How many of you have heard it being referred to as a loop before? Right?
That's
So,
half the people in
you
the-
mentioned that.
I know we got started with it, but I didn't realize that that's a pretty complete loop there. I didn't realize it was that complete.
So it starts, like she said, up in Rock Chalk Park at Queens, or beyond Rock Chalk Park at Queens Road.
Mhm.
And there's about 15 miles that's
That's
contiguous.
contiguous, yeah.
So you can get on the trail up there, and it's all shared use path, so 12-foot wide, all the way around.
Paved.
Yeah,
It is
right,
paved.
concrete, all the way to almost Hobbs Park. And so there are a few little gaps, and if you kind of plot out the easiest routes in those gaps, it could be a 22-mile loop. I'm pushing for another 4 miles, so it could be like a full marathon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
But the great thing about it is it connects, as we've already kind of pointed out, connects you to so many different places in the community. So once you get on the loop, you can get to the bigger wetlands, you can get to Clinton Lake, to Rock Chalk Park. There's lots of little kind of segments of the trail that I think people think are their own trail, because they kind of have their own identity and characteristics about it. So like there's the Burge Creek Trail, which now has some really great historic panels along the way. But it's also a great place to connect to other trail systems. So as Kate pointed out, there are several places there, but there's also these connections to other shared use paths. So on this map, like all the little yellow dots are basically places that you can hop on. And a lot of times those are next to another shared use path. So it really makes it convenient to kind of stay out of traffic and get to where you need to get throughout the community, not just for recreation, but also transportation throughout town.
There are people who commuted from the southwest section of town who work in the downtown area, and they'll just ride along the loop. This section here is relatively flat. Back there, it kind of gets hilly. So you don't get too sweaty coming along here if you are commuting that way. And then there are these blue lines are also other bike paths that can take you up. There's a Naismith trail that goes up through here. I was talking to a woman this morning who just moved to town, who lives on the east side of town. She's thinking about getting on the loop and riding here, and she works at approximately Osdale and 23rd Street. So she's thinking she might do that, take Naismith up and get over there. So
these are like bike riders.
there are people who are using a bike to commute. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
I was
And
gonna say, if that was walking, that you'd have to allow time, but.
Well,
for a bike,
there are some
it
people
wouldn't
who
be as
walk
bad.
like that.
Sure.
This is a multi-use trail, so we're kind of focused on the Lawrence Loop because Flat is focusing on getting the loop completed. It's been something that the city's been talking about doing for the past 4 or 5 years. It's been the top of the list, and lately it's starting to kind of slide down, and so we're trying to get the community back into the idea of let's get this done. The sections that need to get done are the tough ones. So from that top blue P there to the second blue P diagonally, that kind of the downtown area, we've got the railroad tracks to deal with there. But we're moving forward with that. And then where the black dots are and it kind of jigs up and comes back down, we're actually thinking about trying to take it along the river and up to the Farmers Turnpike, because Westar Energy has offered access to their land and they own a lot of that property. And we're starting to think that might be really great because that opens up that property to people getting close to the river again, which is something we would like to do. The levee on the opposite side kind of keeps people from being able to get close to the water. On this side, it's not as big a deal, but that's kind of something we're kind of working towards while we're also trying to get this little section here downtown done. That one's a little trickier because we have to deal with city and the bureaucracy there, and we have to deal with the railroad and the bureaucracy there. So that kind of expands the timeline on that one. But the other one, Westar is already kind of excited about doing it and helping out. We're excited about the possibilities, so we're trying to move forward with the various things we can do. And then the last section is that bit up there. I think we can get that sorted. If we can get everybody excited about this, I think the next part will follow through. But they saved the hardest parts for the last. So, do you guys have any questions about Trails Anywhere? We have a new person in the back. Have you used Trails Anywhere here, around here?
Yeah, I discovered the Arboretum a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
I've lived here for 15 years and had no idea that we
Oh,
had an
it's
Arboretum.
great, yeah.
But there's a trail down there, I'm not quite sure where I was, actually.
Well, the Arboretum is over here. And this trail, so here's the loop. Sorry, I have my back to the video. And you guys. This is all the loop, this dotted line. So the Arboretum's here, so you could get on this trail and kind of walk out to here towards Clinton Lake. That's right here. If you have dogs, this is where the dog park is, over in this area. So, yeah, and then the Arboretum itself is right through here. But this is a really nice section through here. It's kind of, it's low. Once you get up here, you start to get into the rolling hills. So, but yeah, as you see, it can start way up there and you can go all the way around town. We're trying to get it so that you can go completely around town. That's our goal. And the loop has been used for other things aside from recreation. Jeff was talking about how on the Burroughs Creek part of the trail, there are panels that have been set up, and you can read about the history of that area. So there was a German prisoner of war camp after the Second World War that was located there. There was a place called La Yarda, where the folks who came from, I think most of them were from Mexico, but there might have been others from Central America as well. They worked on the railroad, and there was a little place that they had back in the woods on the other side of the railroad tracks. So between the river and the railroad tracks, there's a little community there. So several people did a lot of history checking on that. So there's a lot of interesting stuff along the Burroughs Creek Trail that you can find out about local history for this side of town. And we did something called Chalk the Loop last year, where we had kids out drawing on the sidewalk, on the loop, doing different chalk things in that. So we try to use it for doing community engagement, cultural stuff, as well as commuting and transportation and exercise and all that.
So there's,
So do you have some literature on this?
We have, I'm going to give you cards. Our brochures weren't done in time for this, but we have cards, so if you join us and follow us, you'll get more information. We've tried to do a lot of stuff on social media and get information out about when things are coming up for the City Commission. You can go and say, hey, I like this idea, and let's keep moving forward with this. There's economic benefit for it, obviously health benefit for it, the healthy, what did you?
Healthy built environment.
Healthy Built Environment people actually started working on this, completing the loop, and then Flat has kind of taken it over to help move it forward and to get the public involved. And yeah.
So we've talked a lot about ways that we can use the loop. We were going to demonstrate some etiquette on trails, but maybe we'll skip that part and just kind of.
We could talk about it.
I just cover a couple of things.
You go ahead.
5 minutes, don't you?
Go ahead, and then at the end, if we have time, then I'll do it.
So, we have all these great pictures of people using the loop, and when I was looking through the video, I realized that some of them demonstrate bad behavior.
Oh, good.
Like this one, this gentleman who's riding on the trail. Looks like he's enjoying his ride. But do you notice anything that maybe seems odd about?
Well, isn't it generally how you drive in traffic the same as walking or bicycling? Yours should be on the right.
Right. So with these wide street use paths, that's the goal, is to kind of think about it as a road. Always see to the right. Be aware of
Pass on
other
the
people
left.
who are using, and yeah, pass on the left. Has anyone ever been startled by someone who
Oh, yeah.
passes them on the left? And how did you know that they were coming?
Well, actually, yeah, when I'll jog over by Rock Chalk Park, that little extension they added, and all of a sudden you just hear, on your left, and I hear left, and so I start to, but wait, no, they're coming, I'm like, okay. There's that split second where I go left, wait, no, okay, got it, yeah.
Right.
And they're on a bike, so they're coming quick, and yeah.
That is
My time
interesting.
is they didn't announce themselves, I was just hearing noise coming up, and then when they're on me, they'll say something. And yeah, that's what startles me is, well, you know, feel them right there, and I'm going, holy crap. And then, yeah, you tend to want to jump to where you're looking, so that's not good.
Well, and what you say is, it doesn't click, the first part of it
Right.
doesn't click, you hear left,
I heard
lower left.
Right.
So,
Right, exactly.
That's what you do.
The first time that happened to me, that's how I reacted, and then I went, no, I think they mean they're coming. Okay, got it. Yeah.
so we need to do a good education thing, and I think we will end up making our own video specifically for that. If we'd had a group here, I would have brought people up, I was gonna have someone be a dog on the end of a leash and be across the,
So this is something I encounter a lot. Pretend I'm the dog,
and here's the trail.
and here's the trail.
Yes.
How is, you know, if I'm coming around the corner on a bike, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to.
Right. And so when you're
Heading
out
for the
with,
ditch.
when you're out with your pets, make sure to, you know, do the same thing that you would with your own self and keep them on the right side of the trail. Keep them close, don't let them wander clear out and back. This is also another lovely picture that we use on our website, I think.
Yep.
And in this case, it's probably, it's a little bit narrow trail, so there's not a lot of room to spread out, but just kind of keeping in mind, you know, especially if you're kind of slowly wandering or have your phone and you're texting and walking along,
Headphones on.
to make sure that, you know, you're not spreading out and using the full width of the trail, but that you, again, are really paying attention to yourself. Where are you at? And where are the other folks who also want to use this amenity?
And every trail is different. So you've talked about being on the mountain bike trails out here. There's different etiquette when you're on a bike trail. This is a it's not there anymore, multi-use trail. There are horse trails on the south side of Clinton Lake. So there's different etiquette for that. They're the horse trails, so the horses have the right of way there. And then the mountain bikes have right of way there. But anybody who's walking has right of way over anybody who's moving in a bigger
Oh, really?
vehicle. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The thing is, you should move to the side though,
Yeah.
because you can do that. And someone
Right.
on a bike coming screaming around the corner, you should step aside. But yeah,
That's interesting though, yeah, because I've run on those mountain bike trails, and all of a sudden one comes up to you real quick, or you see them coming at you, and it's skinny.
Yeah.
I'll always just defer to get out of their way, even if I didn't know that I had that right of way. I would assume just instinctively, just let them go. Yeah.
and that makes the most sense.
Right.
Because you
do
can
that.
step into the trees
Exactly.
easier than, let them
Exactly.
through, because some areas, where it's windy,
Sure.
Yeah.
there's not a lot of room there,
Mhm.
and like I say, the roots. You're trying to get to someone else's roots. and-
Right.
Yeah, 'cause
Well,
those roots will
it's-
throw you for a loop.
It's like we're done, but
Oh.
it's like if you're on a bicycle, you have the right of way over a Big Mac truck, but I'm not going to get in front of the Big Mac truck.
Right. Right.
Right.
So
No, that's an important thing though, because like I say, when they have to put signs up telling people that the pedestrians have a right of way on an intersection, I'm thinking, well, that's just sad.
Yeah.
Did somebody use that as a defense in court, that they didn't have a sign up? I'm thinking,
it's the law.
I was gonna say, that's been the
It's
law
the law.
forever,
Yeah.
that the pedestrians always have a
Well,
right of way.
nobody told me.
Even if they're not being legal, if they're jaywalking, you don't run them over. I mean, you just don't run people over.
Dang.
Yeah, no, it's.
Thank you guys. Do you have any questions?
That's just sad, but you have to.
I was curious because I've had physical therapy, I've had some tendonitis in my foot, so I've been looking for non-paved, non-concrete trails,
Is that your
wherever they
website?
may be, things that aren't paved because they're a little bit easier on my feet, and I've kind of compiled a list of my own of various ones. I was curious if you guys might have a list of ones that are and aren't.
Could I
That's a good thing, and we'll try to put that on the website. If you would send a note to
Sure.
I said, I want to go to this one.
Flat info
She
at
said, I
flat,
want to go.
and then I'll get
Because I
together
started
with the
developing a foot